My wife and I are long distance. She works abroad. I take care of our sons, 4 and 3, and do odd jobs. Originally we lived with her, but our kids ended up put in a dangerous situation and I didn't want that to happen again. Quitting her job wasn't an option in her eyes, so I moved to our home country with the kids while she stayed. She visits us a few times a year. I moved in with close family friends. It was a hard and painful decision. I had a lot of resentment over my wife prioritizing her job over our family. But I love her. I couldn't imagine not being with her. I thought about divorce, but we decided to try to work things out. The other woman was my friend when we were little kids. After my mother died, I left my hometown and moved in with my dad and didn't see that friend. But I stayed connected with some other people from that town throughout my life, and when I moved back home with the kids I started visiting my hometown more. To see my mom's grave and visit my old neighbors. When I met my old friend again, I was excited to see her, but I'm nostalgic for everything from my childhood. It started out innocent. I was just happy to have another connection to that part of my life. Anyway, she has a son too who is 6, and so we ended up taking our kids to the park together while we had a coffee and caught up. It was innocent and I told my wife I'd reconnected with her and my wife was fine with it. She jokingly asked if she should be jealous, but she didn't mean it. She trusted me. So I feel so terrible. We met up a couple times a month from then on. I don't really know when it lost its innocence. But I realized I started becoming infatuated with her. We'd hug every time we met up and before we left, and I would feel so wistful when she would hug me. She would start talking about how her ex mistreated her and her son, and I felt so protective. She started making comments like, "My son is so good with your sons, it's like they are brothers." And I talked to her about some of the stuff that bothered me about my relationship with my wife, and she sympathized. I realized that I enjoyed the attention and I found myself entertaining fantasies that I was with her instead. I kept thinking about if I had never met my wife and had instead moved back home and reconnected with my old friend, and we'd somehow had our same kids only with each other, we both could have been happy and been spared so much pain. If I'm trying to be objective, she's a better match for me than my wife. She puts her kids first. She appreciates me for who I am. My wife does too, but I feel like me and the kids are always an afterthought for her. Even when she's home and spending time with us, she is always thinking about her job. My wife is a good person and she does good work. But her job traumatizes her, and she was already traumatized before she started it. She started doing her job to cope with her past, but she's also re-traumatizing herself over and over. And my kids and I pay the price. I'm not trying to justify my actions, I'm just trying to explain. My childhood friend was always complimenting me on my looks, how good of a dad I am, my physical strength. It's like she appreciated the unique things about me. And I feel like my wife loved me just because I was there for her. Like she would have loved anyone who loved her, and I was just the only one who did. It wasn't always like that, but that's how it started to eventually feel, with my wife being so distracted by her job all the time. I didn't really notice it until I reconnected with my friend and noticed the contrast. I should not have let things get that far, I know. But at first it was just an occasional thought, and I just brushed it off as intrusive thoughts and telling myself, yeah, everyone has inappropriate thoughts, but what matters is your actions. But I let it go too far. In hindsight, some of our friendly banter was really more like flirting, and it was not appropriate. That's an action, not a thought. Anyway, today was a reality check. She said she wanted to talk to me about something serious without the kids there, so I let my other friend who I live with babysit and met up with her. And she basically confronted me with the fact that we obviously have feelings for each other and said I should leave my wife for her. But it was like immediately I realized the amount of bullshit I was feeding myself and her. I instantly felt so bad. I didn't deny having feelings, but maybe I should have. She kept insisting I think it over, and when she saw how upset I was, she said she'd let me think it over, then left. I should have told her, no, there is nothing to think over, I love my wife and I'm not leaving her. But I didn't say anything. That in itself is weighing on me. I need to tell my wife. I know. I just don't even know where to begin. Next time she's coming home is October. I feel like this is the kind of thing to say face to face, but I don't want to wait that long. And I don't want her to come all this way to have a nice time and ruin it. I could leave the kids with my friends and go visit her. But on top of the money issues and logistical issues, even that thought makes me sick. I keep imagining her smiling and being delighted to see me, and then how devastated she's going to be when I tell her. I can't stop thinking about her face. I feel sick. I don't want to tell her at all and just never see my childhood friend again. I'm also mad at myself for letting my stupid fantasies ruin a friendship and a precious memory, but I know it would be wrong to keep seeing her and impossible to just be normal friends now, but I know honesty is the best policy. I owe it to her to be honest. I just don't know what to do. I feel so wrong and stupid. I don't want to tell my friends. I think one of them would be really angry at me for almost cheating, and the other might actually encourage me to leave my wife. I feel like I need someone to tell me what to do because I can't process. Edit. Okay, these comments are overwhelming and I need to sleep. Tomorrow I'm going to talk to my friends about what's going on and, after being yelled at, probably see if they'll be able to watch my kids while I visit my wife and tell her what's going on. If not, I can probably ask a few other people. If not, then I'll just tell her over Zoom. I'm also going to text my childhood friend that I don't want to see her again and then block her. I'm not going to leave my wife. If she leaves me, I'm going to stay single. I'm not going to date my ex-friend. I will always love my wife, and I don't think it would be fair to anyone for me to date anyone else while I still love her. To stop from having to answer the same questions over and over, my wife is an aid worker. She doesn't do it for the money. She does it because she believes God called her to do it. I do gig jobs and sometimes construction. I choose to work more flexibly and spend more time with my kids. I put my wife through college. I'm not freeloading off her, I am kind of freeloading off the friend I live with, I'll admit that. But we're all happy with this arrangement. The reason I left with the kids is because we got carjacked at gunpoint. My wife changes location a lot, so living somewhere safe but still closer to her isn't really an option. It's either travel with her officially through her organization, or stay put somewhere. I don't think my childhood friend originally intended to cheat with me, but I guess it doesn't matter anymore. Edit 2. Everyone telling me to get a stable job so my wife can come home. You misunderstand. You think my wife and I haven't spoken about this? She is never going to quit her job. She made that very clear. Her job is her priority. I promise you she's not doing it for the money. I'm not forcing her to do it by refusing to work more. If SHE said she would even consider quitting if I found a more stable job, I'd do that in a heartbeat. Anyway, I talked stuff over with my friends. They were understanding. The plan is to fly over and see my wife next week-ish, but we still have to make arrangements. I thought about contacting my wife's boss to see if we could do a surprise visit, but it seems like it would be so cruel to show up and surprise her and make her happy to see me only to break her heart. So instead I called my wife saying everyone is okay, but I have something bad to tell her that she should hear in person, and I'm going to fly out to see her. She said I should just tell her because otherwise she's going to worry about it the whole time. So I almost did. But then she said, no, don't tell me. I want to see you. So I didn't. Update 1. I should have said something at the time, but a lot of people bashed my wife and I didn't defend her as much as I should have. So I'm gonna set the record straight now. First of all, people were saying she was cheating on me. But she would never, ever do that. She is honest and loyal, and a much better person than I am. Second, people were saying my wife is negligent and doesn't care about me or our kids. This is also wrong. She's very loving. Yes, she is busy with her job. But she says she thinks about us every moment. And when she is home, she spends as much time with me and the kids as she can. She does get distracted and think about things at work that stress her out, but that's because she sees things that get to her. It's not because she doesn't care about us. She's not like half the parents out there that ignore their kids because they're distracted by their phone. People were also bashing me in a way that I think was kind of over the top, but honestly, you can bash me, but don't bash my wife. Me having problems in my relationship doesn't mean she deserves to be bashed. I actually showed the post to my best friend, and she pointed out that a lot of you are probably just being sexist. You attacked my wife and said she didn't care about me or our kids because she doesn't get to see us much. But my friend pointed out that there are a lot of jobs that mostly men do that mean they don't get to see the kids much, and no one says that they don't love their kids and need to quit. So for everyone who said my wife doesn't love our kids, would you say the same to dads who are in the military, truck drivers, work on oil rigs? Would you say that they're all definitely cheating on their wives? Or tell their wives that they should leave them? If not, you're being sexist. And for everyone who told me to get a better job so my wife can come home, would you say that to a woman who is married to a guy who does one of those jobs? For everyone saying me and my wife shouldn't be married or have kids because she's an aid worker, do you think there shouldn't be any aid workers? Or do you think no aid worker should be allowed to get married and have kids just because of their job? You realize a lot less people would be aid workers if it meant they couldn't have a family, right? You don't make any sense. Anyway, I saw my wife and told her everything, and we actually had a nice visit. She was glad to see me in spite of everything. And she insisted I not tell her anything bad until after she showed me something. Which was confusing to me, but I agreed. Anyway, it was a little waterfall. And it was beautiful. She said she visited the waterfall whenever she got a chance and it reminded her of me, and she wished she could show it to me every time. I nearly cried when she said that. I almost couldn't even tell her after that, but I already told her I was going to tell her something bad, so I had to. Anyway, we sat there by for a while until she said she was ready to hear my bad news. So, as much as it killed me, I told her everything that happened. She tried to be calm and understanding, but I could tell she was hurt. I almost wished she would have yelled and slapped me. But she just thanked me for being honest. She asked what I was going to do. I said I wasn't going to stay in touch with my former friend either way, but I hoped she would forgive me and come home to us in October like she planned. She said I was already forgiven and asked me for more details about what exactly happened and my feelings, which I did my best to answer honestly. It was hard though. I could tell she was getting more and more upset. Eventually she just said okay and we walked back to her base without really talking at all. That night we talked more. She knows it's hard for me to live the way we do and she just asked me again if I was sure I still wanted to be with her. I told her I knew she wasn't going to quit her job, but I talked about how one of the hardest things is that even when she comes home, her mind is on her job and it's hard to see how sad and stressed she always is. She said she'd bring it up in therapy and try to work on being present in the moment with her family. She kept pressing me on if there was anything else she could do better besides quit her job, and I told her how I felt about how sometimes it seems like she only loves me because I love her, and I could be anyone. She cried, apologized, said it's not true, and told me as many specific things she could think of that she loves about me. I did the same for her. She said she was glad we talked and glad I was willing to keep working on our marriage, because from the beginning when I told her I had something bad to tell her in person she just assumed I wanted a divorce. She said she's always worrying I'm going to leave her, but she's grateful for every day I don't. I promised her I don't plan to and told her I worry the same thing sometimes. It was a really good conversation. The other days, I went to her job site with her for a bit and helped out with a few things. The local kids were teasing my wife about me, which was adorable. Things aren't perfect, but they're going to be okay. Also, I know a lot of people said that my wife should leave me because what I did was as bad as a physical affair. And, confusingly, a lot of people said I did nothing wrong. I think it's somewhere in between. I did something wrong, but I did stop it before it got that far. And a lot of other people say I should divorce my wife. But I'm not divorcing her. She has her flaws, but she's also one of the best people I know. All of her flaws are because she's been through things that I can't even imagine. I chose to love her in spite of the things she can't give me. I will always love her. I'm not someone who can stop loving someone. Even if we divorced, I'd think about her and wonder if she was okay every single day. I can't be in a relationship with another person even if I wanted to because I'd never be over her. It wouldn't be fair to them. It's my wife or no one for me. Now next story. Boyfriend confesses to one night stand with college friend. Now I'm stuck on vacation trying to decide if I can forgive him or no. I, 30F, have been in a seemingly happy relationship for a little over 3 years. My boyfriend, 32M, is wonderful. We have lived together for about 2 years, rarely ever argue, we have so much in common, and honestly he is my best friend. I love him and know that I want to marry this man. He flew to his hometown yesterday, I flew down this morning, and we are both catching a plane in the morning to go on vacation together for 6 days with 2 other friends of ours. Everything is paid for and cancellations are not possible this last minute. I've been in our hotel room bawling my eyes out and dry heaving for the past 2 hours. I Ubered from the airport, and when he came down to help me with my bags I immediately knew something was wrong. He looked like hell and was visibly nervous. Once we got into the hotel room he started tearing up and told me he had something to tell me, that he knows I'm going to leave him but he can't keep a secret like that. Me. He explained how he and a few of his childhood friends all went to a bar and he ran into a girl he went to college with. They never had sex but did go on a few dates almost 7 years ago. She invited him and a group of other people back to her house where they all proceeded to get drunk and do cocaine all night. I know about the occasional cocaine use, and just catch up. Basically he and the college friend ended up having sex and then she drove him to our hotel early this morning. He hasn't talked to her since and swears that it means absolutely nothing. He said she's not even attractive and that he was just fucked up. He says it was a big mistake and is begging for my forgiveness. A huge part of me wants to ask for every last detail, but I'm scared to know that there is potentially more to the story. I don't know. I want to forgive him and enjoy our time away, but I truly don't know how. Are there such occasions where you really can't help yourself and it really was a spur of the moment mistake? Or is there something hidden beneath the surface and my happy relationship has been anything but this whole time? Update 1. After basically begging him, he told me the name of the girl and I reached out to her. I called her and put her on speaker so we all three could talk. Unfortunately, I'm learning the situation was much worse than the story originally told and I will be on a flight home in a few hours. This other girl is not unattractive. The sex was not protected. He and her had been flirty the entire 3 hours before they finally had sex. Hand holding, sitting on his lap, making out a lot. He gave her oral sex and basically the sex lasted quite a while with various things being done. Not like the coked out unpleasant quickie I was told about. I feel like I want to die. Update 2. You guys have helped more than you could imagine. I flew home this morning, took a nap, packed some of my things, took our cat and am staying with a friend for the 6 days he's away. He didn't want to go on the trip but I insisted. I told him if he has ever loved me, to please give me the time and space I deserve. Unfortunately, our relationship is broken beyond repair. The reasoning behind why he cheated doesn't matter because the fact remains that he did. That in all of our time together I've never even considered or wondered about another man, and the first chance he got, he chose to have unsafe sex with someone else. I believe that he loves me and quite possibly is sorry. I don't however believe that he has any respect for me or our life together. I don't know that I'd ever forgive him or trust him again. No respect and no trust means no relationship. We do have a shared life, so the ending of this relationship is not quite as easy as me packing and leaving and not looking back. We have shared accounts, both of our names on our lease, shared phone plans and car insurance. Basically, the next few weeks are going to be rough. Update 3. I have no idea if anyone cares about the outcome of this situation, but it is almost cathartic to write it all down, so I'm doing it anyway. I finally have a calm moment to sit at my computer and compose a logical thought. Upon me returning home, he and I had very little communication at my request. I had originally planned to spend the week at my friend's home to process this life-altering event, but early this afternoon he texted me telling me he was home. Now, some people might think that shows a lot of effort on his part, that he's remorseful, and rather than enjoy his vacation he flew home to talk. Perhaps I would feel that way too, except I asked for space. I told him that if he had ever loved me he would give me time alone. He couldn't even give me that. I agreed to meet with him at our apartment to talk. I only wanted to talk about and sort out all the details. Our finances, home, etc. We agreed on paying to break our lease, to stay on the insurance policy and phone plan together for now but unenroll auto pay, so we're able to make our payments separately. I also asked for him to reimburse me for what I paid towards the vacation from hell. I wanted to wrap things up enough in that moment to where I would have to see and speak to him as little as possible. I know that some communication in the future will be inevitable, but right now I can't deal with it. I told him he can stay in our apartment until we have to leave. I packed some more of my things and left. I don't know if he looked upset or if he was crying. I honestly barely heard anything he had to say because I was so enraged at the person in front of me, a complete stranger. I don't know if the past 3 years were all a lie. I don't know if he has cheated before or that he would cheat on me again. All I am sure of is that he was capable of lying and cheating now. I refuse to be another cautionary tale of a woman who loved someone more than herself, so she forgave a cheater only to be cheated on again. There is a big difference between guilt and remorse. Oop, thank you. It's so incredible to feel like you're actually being seen for who you are, because situations like these can allow you to question that. This has been a huge reminder. I'm grateful. Update 4. I first want to say that I am doing okay, even after what I am going to say in this post. I'm okay. I am going to attempt to make this as brief as possible because I can't give this situation any more of my heart or energy. But it will most likely be long. Here we go. I am all moved out of the apartment, my things going into storage because I am still staying in my friend's home for the time being. This breakup has proved to be financially burdensome, but somehow money has managed to be the least stressful part of this ordeal. It turns out that I never knew the man I shared my life with for the past 3 years. My ex and I ended up having a conversation on the last day of us moving out. He seemed apologetic and sad and asked if we could talk. He said that he loves me, that he will always love me and he wants us to stay together. He apologized and said he would stop bullshitting, no more lies. I didn't feel the need to have a conversation, but I did have just one question. I asked him why. I never could have imagined in a million years that he would tell me that the reason he cheated was because I miscarried 6 months ago. Especially because of how supportive and loving he was during that period in our lives, I felt blindsided and betrayed. He said that he knows that it was not my fault, that there was nothing I could have done differently, but it had caused him to resent me. That he was angry. He said he knew how this sounded, which is why he never talked to me about it. He didn't want to hurt me, I of course at this point felt sick. My heart hurt in ways I never knew possible. Even the death of my father did not hurt in ways his words and actions were hurting me. Here is this man that I have unconditionally loved and supported for over 3 years. I was his biggest cheerleader in life, encouraged him to be his own person and to still live his own life. I wanted him to be happy. We never went to bed mad at each other, we never called each other names, we never not kissed each other goodnight or goodbye in the morning. Our relationship seemed great, and yet he's telling me for the last 6 months he has resented me, borderline hated me at times. He admitted to downloading Tinder and chatting with women over the last 6 months. He swore that it never became sexual up until the night he cheated, and that was only because they had history. I have no clue if that is true. Honestly, I don't care whether or not it is. The cheating is minimal compared to the words he just spoke. We were both crying and I handed him my keys for him to turn in. I gave him a hug and told him that he needs therapy and that I never want to speak to or see him again. I have a therapy appointment next week and will start to work on healing. I am looking at potentially getting a loan so I can get out of anything left that we have shared. I also want to look into moving to a different city, but that is still up in the air. I have changed my phone number and blocked him everywhere. There was never a chance of him and I getting back together, and this just solidifies my decision. I never could have imagined in a million years that he would tell me that the reason he cheated was because I miscarried 6 months ago. He said that he knows that it was not my fault, that there was nothing I could have done differently, but it had caused him to resent me. That he was angry. Update 5. A lot has happened in such a short amount of time. I figured I could close this chapter with a neat little bow. First, I want to say thank you to each and every person that commented or messaged from either post. The outpouring of love is more than I could ever have imagined receiving from strangers. I see so many posts on here with much worse stories, and I don't know what I did to deserve the love and support, but I am eternally grateful. Second and finally, me and my ex have not talked. There is absolutely no way for him to reach me directly, as I ended up moving in with a different friend for the time being. He does not know about this. He still thinks I am at friend A's home and communicates with her if there is anything that needs to be said in regards to business matters. She does not allow him to talk about anything personal, and if he does, she does not pass it along. We have zero things connecting us at this point. In my last post I talked about possibly moving cities, and well, that happened. I was offered a job I had been trying to get for quite some time and the position finally opened up. I have been working from home for about a week, will work from home for another week and then I move. Rhonda, Kitty, is probably not going to be too thrilled but we have a vet appointment for some kitty meds to hopefully ease the transition. She's top priority, always. I love my new job, I love my friends, and I love where my life is headed. I wish nothing bad for my ex and have no ill will towards him and truly hope he can find peace in his life. Often what we lose is nothing compared to what we gain, it's just getting past our human ego and being able to see it.